As parents, we all love our kids unconditionally, right? Or is our love dependent on admission to the right college or getting the right grades in school? Why are successful professional parents the most likely to screw up their kids? We're going to find out. This is KaamnaLive, and every week we're going to tackle a topic that's going to make you just a little bit uncomfortable. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention has revealed that suicide is the third biggest killer of teenagers in America today. In addition, approximately 150,000 kids show up in the ER every year with self-inflicted wounds. Parental pressure is often cited as the reason. When we call our children our pride and joy, are these terms laden with such heavy conditions such as an Ivy League education or a spot on a varsity sports team? As successful, educated professionals, are we so hell-bent on raising successful children that we sometimes overshoot or even miss our goals altogether, which ostensibly should be happy, well-adjusted, comfortable children? To analyze with me today, please welcome Kim Diorio, a lady whose thought leadership in the field of education is well recognized. Kim has recently finished a stint as the principal of the prestigious Palo Alto High right here in Silicon Valley and was vice principal of the same school before that. When it comes to teenagers, Kim has seen it all, from sexting to vaping to oral sex. And as a mother of two young children herself, she has a unique perspective on the challenges facing our children today. Kim, welcome. I have to tell you, this topic terrifies me because I'm sure, as well-intentioned as any of us are as parents, there is, consciously or subconsciously, we're doing this to our children. So let's get technical for just to set the stage here. How would you define type A parents or a type A style of parenting?
Okay, it's a great question. And I just want to say right off the bat that in no way am I a perfect parent or a parenting expert myself. And if there's one thing I've come to appreciate, it's not to judge other parents, because I think this journey is incredibly hard and we're all making mistakes. Right. So I've come to appreciate that in the last 20 years working with kids and working with their families.
Parents,
but you know, when I hear the expression or the term type A, I naturally think of somebody who's just perfectionistic, overly involved, maybe overly ambitious, kind of that success at all costs, every man for himself, you know, it's all about my kid. Kind of mentality.
Like you said, there's no judgment, but I think what we're seeing is that in an extreme form does affect children, and that's where we're having this conversation today. Right. So let's flip it to the other side then. How do we know that children are getting affected, and why is this topic so important today?
Yeah, well, I think the one thing that's really clear and the research is showing us is just how impacted our kids' mental health is today versus, say, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
We're seeing more and more cases of anxiety and depression showing up in younger children as well as adolescents, which is where we've typically seen it. So we've seen these mental health rates skyrocket. We're also seeing that once kids go off to college or they enter the work world, they're crashing and burning then too. Right. So some of them will sustain it, right? Because you know, they want to please their parents. They want to. They've defined success as getting into that top Ivy League college. Yeah. They've gotten in, and now what do I do?
Yeah. How much does social media play a role in this?
I think it definitely has a big impact on kids, especially this generation that's growing up. They're all digital natives.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously their world and how they socialize and how they interact with each other is so markedly different than, you know, when I was in high school or in elementary school. But I don't think that's everything, and I think it'd be unfair to place all the blame on technology.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there are obviously lots of benefits to it.
Lots of benefits.
The only thing that seems to, you know, because we all do this, adults are guilty of this as well, where we Instagram filter our entire lives, and it looks like everybody's got perfect. You know, everyone's you're sitting on a boat in Greece, or you know, even you know, having a meal at McDonald's is glamorized at this point, and that's got to have some impact on young children.
I think it's so important for parents and families and schools to have the conversations about about media awareness and digital media, and that has to start at a very young age.
Yeah.
I saw it with my fourth grader this summer as she was exposed to Snapchat for the first time, and how much she loved putting those Snapchat filters on. So to have a conversation with her early about what this means and what this is showing, and then to talk about how do we really be authentic? How do we let people know that we're struggling or it's not easy? I think that's the challenge in modern day parenting here. I think people put on a mask. Parents put on a mask, and then kids put on a mask, and they're not being authentic with what's really happening in their lives.
As I was researching this topic for our conversation, I was reading some of the suicide letters, and I we will talk about suicide, and you've had the misfortune of experiencing some of them firsthand with your experiences at school. But I remember this, it was so deep and it was so thought-provoking because this boy was like, you talk about me because I'm great. I'm a straight A student and I'm playing professional baseball, whatever, school level, into school level baseball, whatever. But you're not inclusive. You are not including the kid that doesn't do any of those things. And it was such a smack in the face for all cultures. And by the way, this is not a national thing. This is an international phenomenon. I'll tell you, kids in India, I've lived in the UK, I've lived in Australia. Absolutely. It's the same. This belt of educated professional parents all tend to do the same things to their children. But it was just such a wake-up call to me. It was like, if he can see it, this 16-year-old see it and is so overwhelmed by it, how dare we not wake up? How dare we not have these conversations ourselves? Let's talk about some of the symptoms. Now, we all think that our kids are okay, or maybe we have an inkling something's wrong, or they're off days and stuff like that. How do you know that a kid is really struggling?
So I think it depends on the age of the kid, because I think the symptoms are going to be different depending on the age and developmentally just kind of where they're at.
Okay.
My experience has been mostly with preteens and teenagers. Right. So the big number one sign that something's not right is their sleep patterns. So we see more and more research that suggests when students aren't getting, or children aren't getting, at least 8 hours of sleep, that it has a really negative impact on other at-risk behaviors that they might develop or start considering. So one of the questions I always ask parents is, and students and children, tell me about, how much sleep did you get last night? What does that look like? What does sleep look like for you? Yeah. I think because of technology and because of just life, all the stuff they're expected to do in terms of their extracurriculars, their AP classes, their honors classes, and all the other hobbies and activities that, they're scheduled throughout their day. We hear more and more being common, kids aren't going to bed to 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And some of that is in tune with their natural circadian rhythm. The problem is they're waking up for school at 7. Yeah. So we have this huge sleep gap. So
it sounds like it's twofold with sleep. One is the number of hours, and then the second one is the quality of the sleep.
Sure.
And how is a child, let's say, is a 12-year-old kid equipped to even understand whether or not they're having good sleep or bad sleep?
I think so. Yeah, at that age, you absolutely can figure that out or talk to them about it. And it's figuring out what is it that's impacting their sleep or impeding their sleep if they're trying. It's one thing to be laying in bed and you can't fall asleep and you're having problems falling asleep. But what we see in most cases are students or children. I keep saying students. Children are in their bedrooms and they might have access to technology still. Yeah. I think one of the concerns, and it's really common sense, would be to remove the cell phone or remove a laptop that might be in a student's or child's bedroom. But a lot of parents have a hard time putting those boundaries on kids. Or the kids are really good at finding a second device and sneaking it in. I think the other thing is getting into good habits. How do they relax before they fall asleep? What are some things they can do? If they're busy, and then how do you turn that off? And I think as adults we struggle with that too.
Oh, absolutely. I struggle with that with my own kids. I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. And after they're done with the whole day, I'm fanatical about the 8:30 sleep time. I'm like, I don't care if you're on the toilet, the lights are going off at 8:30. But that still means that there's pressure around bedtime, like I gotta get it all done. And there isn't much time to wind down. If we're looking at a bar of college, today having a 4.0 GPA and, playing a sport and maybe, volunteering and maybe playing an instrument, that's not enough. You've got to, be the head of the team, and you've got to be playing, a professional level instrument, and you've got to change one slice of the world with your volunteer projects. How is that attainable?
Well, I think that's part of the misperception of what success is. And I think as adults, we need to have the conversation, start redefining success. What our kids see and what we've perpetuated, unintentionally, is that success is getting into that great college, right? That selective college, that Ivy League university. Meanwhile, we know that there are thousands of colleges out there that could be a better fit. Again, there's another white paper that just came out yesterday from an organization called Challenge Success, and they said that the rankings don't matter. It's really about how engaged the student is in their college experience in terms of whether they're going to benefit from college. Now, easier said than done.
Exactly,
we live in a culture, and especially being in Silicon Valley, where there's a lot of talk about your pedigree. Where did you go to school?
I mean, there was a time, I think it's changed now, where Google did not look at anybody that didn't come from a Stanford, Berkeley, or one or two other engineering colleges. So those are such mixed messages.
Right, exactly. But if you talk to the most CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and a lot of people in upper management, they are saying that we're getting these Ivy educated kids coming into the corporate world, and they don't know what to do next. They're so programmed to do school. They know how to do school. They know how to be successful. They know how to master school because it's so traditional, and it's how you and I were educated. It hasn't changed in 150 years.
No, that's true.
And now you put them in a work environment where they have to be collaborative, they have to be creative, they have to think critically. They don't have those skills. And so I think for parents, we really need to think about what is success? What defines success for us and our family?
Even I will sit here and I'll say, I want my kids to be well adjusted, and I want them to be happy, and I want them to follow their passions. But as I told my son just yesterday, I'm like, you can do whatever you want after you get a master's degree. I didn't go as far as to specify the school.
Right.
But that comes from a place of fear, which is I don't want you to suffer. Yes, you may be a fantastic banjo player, but are you really going to be happy living with 5 roommates in a loft in Chicago when you're 45? Right? You have to be able to provide for yourself. But there is, obviously, that's a gigantic spectrum.
You mentioned a key word. You said fear. And I think when I think of a type A parenting, I think that's the root of it.
Absolutely.
And that's the root of, that's not to say that fear, that doesn't mean all parents don't feel fear or anxiety about the future for their kids. Every parent wants what's best for their kid.
Of course.
That's the one thing that we all have in common.
Yeah, it's true.
How we go about that and what that looks like can vary from family to family. And I do think in a culture like Silicon Valley, there is a lot of looking at what your neighbors are doing and your friend circle is doing and questioning yourself, am I doing the right thing for my kid, or should I be doing more? So it's really hard to have that real firm understanding of what your values are and sticking to those values
and
when the people around you might be doing something very counter to what you value in your
I remember
family.
having a conversation with somebody when my son was going into 2nd grade about getting him a tutor. And I was like, for what reason exactly? But had I gone down that path, I would have found out that at least half the class had tutors.
Right.
And we keep trying to move this bar higher and higher and further and further away. We're never going to achieve
and our
it.
kids become victim of this, right?
Clearly, that's what we're talking
always
about.
use the analogy they're on a hamster wheel, right? They are just caught in this hamster wheel system right now. And they're running and spinning because they're trying to do all the right things. They know how important this idea of a good college education is. They see the success of their parents and the people, their friends and neighbors around them, and they're caught in the system. So, one of my passions as an educator and as a leader is really how do we change the system for the sake of all kids?
It's funny. I grew up in India, and my mom would tell me, she still says things to me like, we didn't make parenting as hard as you guys made it. And sure, they didn't have the same amounts of information, and they're probably, saved by that. But there really was kind of like, okay, kids first of all have to play. And there's much more downtime, and it's less. I also find here, particularly in America, even playtime is goal driven. Like, you're on the playground.
It's structured.
Try and go one level up. And screw it. If you
Yeah.
want to just make snow angels or sand angels, knock
Right,
yourself out.
right.
But we don't do that very often.
And even, how many times have we been on the playground and we're so worried they're going to get hurt,
Yeah.
right? We're so worried that
Yeah.
something could go wrong. We have to keep our eye on them.
Yeah.
So there's very little room for imaginative play on their part.
Yeah, and just
We're-
independent play.
We're kind of watching over them like hawks.
How much of this is parental narcissism? Sort of, this is, a chip off my block, and I'm gonna, my success my children's success is reflective of me.
Yeah.
How much is that?
I think that's a big piece of it, and I think that gets perpetuated in the cocktail party conversations
Oh,
we
yeah.
have, and
Yeah.
the things that unintentionally adults do to kind of keep this
Keeping
kind
up with the
parenting
Joneses.
report card.
Yeah.
Being able to put the sticker on the back of your car.
Yeah.
Putting your Facebook post up to the school that they're now going to, and as soon as those college admissions start to come out in April, the cocktail party conversation changes.
Oh,
and-
yeah. So let me ask you this. Let's say you're a parent and you do put the well-being of your child first, right? You decide, all right, you are going to get to be that banjo player and I'm going to support you 100%. How do you overcome your own grieving process of distancing yourself from your child and being like, you know what, it's okay. He's not going to be a Wall Street banker, or she's not going to go run for president of the United States. She's just going to be a hippie banjo player out in Santa Cruz, but she's going to be fucking happy.
Happy, right.
How do you console yourself?
Yeah, I think.
Actually, what I really mean is, how do you get over yourself?
How do you get over
That's
yourself?
what I really
right,
mean. Yeah.
right. Because you wanted your daughter to be a doctor, or
Yeah,
a veterinarian,
yeah.
or a lawyer. I think it's really just tapping into that self acceptance, knowing that accepting your child for who they are as a person, and again, and reimagining what it means to be successful, and redefining that.
I know, but if you couldn't do it for yourself, because ostensibly you've also gone through. The reason we're talking about type A parents is because they're all very driven, whether it came from their own parents or it comes from some version of self-motivation. This is how they're programmed. This is how they think they're going to leave their mark on the world or take up the best space in the world. That's the fork. Yeah. That's where we really decide whether their well-being comes first or our ego comes first.
Our ego, right.
Yeah.
What we're seeing now, 9 times out of 10, our ego is getting in the way of their well-being.
Yeah.
And they tell us that. They feel huge amounts of parental pressure. And a lot of it is very indirect. It's a lot of mixed messages we're sending. It's very passive.
Yeah. I think that for a lot of kids that we're hearing now, especially when you start at the younger age, like kids for your age and my age, they haven't figured themselves out yet. They don't really know whether the voice is our voice or their voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where it starts getting a little hairy. Like, I'm fairly sure a lot of the kids amongst our friend circles that grow up, they're thinking what their parents want is what they want. And I don't know when that separation occurs.
And God bless the child who can say, "No, mom or dad, I don't want to do that." But what happens?
Indian
a lot of times we say, "You're doing it anyway," right?
Yeah.
Or you have to
Yeah,
try
I'm
it.
very guilty of that.
As I am I. But I think truly listening to our kids and giving them some agency and letting them make some choices, is not going to hurt them. If anything, it's really important that they feel like they have some control over their own lives. Just as adults, we want to have control over our lives.
Yeah.
I think that is, one of the things that really drives and motivates people is having that agency, that autonomy to really figure things out on their own.
Absolutely. And knowing that if there are consequences, particularly when you're a kid, if there are negative consequences, then we've got your back.
Right.
When you're off in the world as a professional doing it, then you might be on your own. But today, you can go to the playground, you can fall down and bump your head, and you rest assured somebody's going to be there to mop it up for you.
And how many conversations have I had with parents of teenagers that it was better that their student or child got caught, drinking at a football game or, doing something in the parking lot they shouldn't have been doing, and that we can talk about it and process that here and now, than when they're adults and now they're involved in the criminal court system. But it's hard, right?
It's hard.
Everyone's worried, what does this mean? If they got in trouble now, is this going to impact college? It all comes back to college admissions and the holy grail of getting into that top select university.
Yeah. And then you can be a complete shit show when you get up there. You can be a complete asshole when you get up there, and that doesn't matter either. And that tends to happen as well. Let's talk about some of the things that we can do then as parents, that we can control. What I know we talked about listening, really listening and holding back and providing agency. What else?
Yeah. One of the best pieces of advice that I've been known to give parents and families, and it comes from an organization called Challenge Success, is really thinking in terms of PDF for kids. Children need PDF, and that stands for playtime, downtime, family time.
Okay.
And it's such a great acronym to use in your own family. And think about your own lives, right? We all need playtime.
Yeah.
We want to have fun. You know, we want to go out dancing with our girlfriends. You know, we want to play board games with, you know, the couple down the street, you know, if that's fun for us. Downtime.
Not my thing.
Maybe not your thing, but for some people that is their thing, right? Downtime, reading, you know, sometimes I just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every mother can appreciate that. And then family time.
Yeah.
You know, still having those rituals of, you know, what it means to be a family and how we can communicate with each other in the family. And that's harder and harder too as families have evolved and changed over time and just some of the pressures on us. But even just taking, you know, time once a week to have a meal together, or time to take a family vacation, or, you know, taking one of your kids out to the park, or going to a show, or doing something special with your kids. You know, whether that be with your spouse or not, it doesn't really matter as long as you're still giving them that time and that attention that they need.
And not asking anything of them.
Not asking anything.
I find that's the tricky one as well. Let's go back to identifying signs and combating them. So we talked about sleep as one. What else should we be looking for in our children, whatever age they are? And then how do we help them overcome, or how do we intervene at that point?
Right. The elementary school years, you know, this is a year where, you know, they're developing at a really fast rate. Every year is changing dynamically with them, both physically and social emotionally. Right. And a lot of it at this time is really just being that active listener, right? That safe space that they can come home to and just dump everything that just happened to them during their school day. You might get everything that just happened to their school day, or in their school day, and you might not, depending on every student's a little different.
I get
every
good
child's different. Right.
or great.
Right. So you want to just pay attention and just dig a little bit deeper. I always tell parents, don't ask how was your day. Ask, you know, tell me about your favorite part of your day, or tell me, you know, what's one high, what's one low for your day. You know, just kind of tweak the question a little bit to try to get a little more out of them. I think at this age too, socially, they're still trying to kind of navigate what it's like to have a conflict with a friend, how to make good decisions. These are all things that you can have that conversation with them, but most importantly, not trying to solve it for them. Let them cry, let them be hurt, they have to experience all those human emotions. Again, you're there just to comfort them and to pick them up when they fall down, but they're going to fall down, and we need to let them fall down. You know, if your child is coming home saying they're being bullied every day by the same kid, okay, now you've got a pattern. It's a little different. And get the school involved. I think having those open lines of communications with the teacher.
We've been blessed with some amazing teachers even through all these years, and I credit so much of my children's growth to them. Even though I am the most fabulous parent you will ever come across. No, they've really a lot of the social emotional. Let me be a little bit naughty and ask you about, you know, stuff that parents shouldn't do. Don't try this at home. Don't do it at home. Don't do this at school. Give us some stories.
There's so many stories. Which one do I want to tell first? I was working as a school counselor, and we were having a parent-teacher conference for a 6th grader. And the parents decided that they didn't want the 6th grader in the conference because we were going to be talking about him, and it might be too hard for him to hear with all these adults sitting around a table. So they brought an 8x10 photograph of their child, and they put it down on the table. And they started the conference saying, "Let's all pause and take a minute to remember why we're here." And it was, to me, I didn't know whether to laugh or
I would have laughed.
Or it felt creepy. It almost felt like
he's
not dead. You know, and of course we remember why we're here. We see him every day. You know, so I would not recommend taking pictures of your students into the school when there's a conference.
Don't creep out the teachers. This is basic shit.
Just be normal. That was one. The other thing I always tell parents, especially high school parents, because right now with the technology, their grades, students' grades are online, and teachers will post grades every few weeks or more frequently, depending on the teacher. Don't be overly obsessive checking grades. We have parents who will check grades constantly throughout the day, and then they'll text their kids who are sitting in their math class, or sitting in a science class, saying, your social science teacher just posted the grade, you got a B plus, what happened?
Oh, yeah.
And the kid is in another class being,
I'm trying to focus.
And the moms or dads at home, and I, don't be that parent.
Yeah.
What I tell parents is, we have analytics on our learning platforms, so we know when you're the excessive grade checker.
We're going to
we can
cut
tell
you
your
off.
clicks. You don't want to be that person. So I tell parents, just check once a week.
It's not just you sitting at your computer and hitting refresh. I mean, you're sending your kid a very strong message about something that is really not that big a deal.
Right. I think the other mistake I see, if there's a concern or worry, they want to go right to the top. Don't email the superintendent or the school board about, your kid has too much homework in their chemistry class. Talk to the teacher. Again, if you're seeing that your child's doing too much work or something doesn't seem right, reach out to the teacher first. I always push back on parents who would want to schedule an appointment with me before, if they hadn't already talked to a teacher about it. Because so much of this can just be resolved if there's that back and forth communication.
And then coming back to the note that I referenced earlier is the kids are probably embarrassed as well, because if we're doing if they're getting any perspective at all, they're probably like, holy shit, my mother's or my dad is going apeshit.
Right. And the better approach, really the best approach, and every educator I've ever met will say the same, like, empower your kids to advocate for themselves. My first grader right now is having a hard time asking for help. So I do a lot of role play with her. Like, let's pretend I'm your teacher. Right. What can you say to me, when you need help with your math geo board?
What is the right level of motivation? Because not everybody is born self-motivated, and parents do need to push and prod and poke a little bit, even if it's something as minor as finish your homework. Right. So how do you do it without pushing your kids over the edge?
Right. I think again, when they're little, it's going to be a little different, right? I think it's okay to give your kids opportunities to try things,
right?
Because they need exposure. Yeah. Who knows what they're going to gravitate towards, or what they're going to find interest and joy in. Yeah. But you want to look for those clues. What type of, do they really like building things and making things? Maybe they like the robotics team instead of playing soccer on their weekends. The homework battle is a tricky one, but I do think sometimes kids need to understand there's a natural consequence.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a natural consequence for not doing homework. Yeah. And I think that is where you can partner with the teacher and put some of that on the teacher and use the teacher to really help. If my first grader or fourth grader forgets to bring their homework into school,
that's their problem.
That's the consequence, and that's how they learn. And my fourth grader is at the point now where she's really internalized that.
Yeah, it's funny when you said you have such high expectations for them, it's actually you have such high expectations for yourself.
Yeah.
That's right.
Can you live with a child who's getting a C or a D?
I don't know
it's
what
hard,
to say.
Right?
It is hard. It's
hard.
totally hard. So we always do this on the show. So I'm going to throw out a celebrity or a famous person, and I want you to tell me whether you think they are a type A parent or a laissez-faire parent. Right, just based on their, assuming you don't know any of these people, just based on their external personas. Michelle Obama.
I want to say she's leaning more laissez-faire, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think her and her husband, and I don't know. Of course, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know the Obamas. But from what I can see, I think that they are pretty grounded people, and I think that. Well, I'm sure they have high expectations for their daughters, of course.
I mean, that's a high bar, right? Your parents are Michelle and Barack Obama.
But I also think that they have put their they've made their values very clear. I think just the fact, even during his presidency, that he would take time to have family dinners with them, and that he didn't travel when he avoided travel when he needed to be home with them. I think I want to hope that they lean more that way. I wouldn't call them laissez-faire though.
Madonna.
Again, right?
Known as a control freak. Madonna is even down to what she eats and how she manages her businesses.
I would say she's type A.
I would agree.
I would say she's type A.
What about Serena Williams? Because she just became a mom.
I think Serena was probably more the product of a type A parenting style because, again, her circumstances were so challenging and she rose from them. And in some ways you had to be type A in that type of an environment. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
It's going to be interesting to see,
Her child is still so young. I'm not sure.
God. Donald Trump.
Oh God, is he even a
Was he
parent?
was he a parent?
Was he
ever a
I don't think
parent?
he qualifies.
I know. Well, actually, I've read stuff about how he basically was not a parent.
He's not.
He just wasn't around. Beyonce,
Oh,
3 kids now.
3 kids now. I don't know. I think she might be a little laissez-faire.
Really?
Somewhere in the middle. I think she might be in the middle.
So then balanced.
Balanced.
Let's call that balanced.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think because she's coming from the creative world.
Maybe. But it's a very competitive,
But it's a very competitive creative world.
We always wrap up the show with just some suggestions for resources for people who are looking to read more on the subject, learn more on the subject. Obviously, everything is there's a whole list on KaamnaLive.com/resources. But anything aside from this book, Kim, that you would suggest?
I highly recommend every parent read is by an author called Julie Lithcott-Hames.
Okay.
She was the former dean of students at Stanford University, and she wrote a book called How to Raise an Adult. We talk a lot about how to raise children, right?
Yeah.
How to raise an adult.
Yeah.
So again, just that concept of what skills are our children going to need for when they go off to college and beyond, so that they can navigate in the adult world. And it's also out of Stanford University, an organization called Challenge Success.
Okay.
What I like about Challenge Success is they look at kind of all stakeholders in this system. So they're huge on parent education, but they're also working with teachers and educators, school systems and districts, and universities doing the research. Another organization is out of Harvard University called Making Caring Common. And that's a professor named Rick Weisborg, and he's looking at, how do we raise ethical, caring children in this modern world that we're in?
Yeah.
So he's really
so
looking
important.
at he's really asking some great questions, some great research questions.
I will add a Bollywood movie, which is actually, it's very fun to watch. It's called 3 Idiots, because it's the 3 buffoons of the class. And I won't give it away as a spoiler, but it kind of highlights, because obviously every student is going through their own journey, and there are 1 or 2 who are a little bit wiser, who realize that it's beyond just the grades and beyond the expectations and beyond engineering to even begin with. But if you're looking for a lighter way and maybe something you can watch with your kids, Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is such an important topic for our children today in the worlds that they live in, with everything that's being thrown at them. It's all okay. Have a drink, chill out.
Chill out.
We'll see you next week. Thank you.